Hi, I'm Steve with the Women's Self-Defense Community. Today we're having a discussion about another facet of campus safety. First, let me introduce our panel today. First, we have Brad Parker. Brad is an instructor for Women's Self-Defense and is the founder of the Women's Self-Defense Community. Heather Wall is a karate world champion who teaches women's self-defense and is the founder of the women's improvement group Moxie Up. Shannon Mahoney is a multidisciplined fighter who specializes in counseling and training women to defend themselves. And Tracy Arlington is a nationally certified women's self-defense instructor and is the owner of Play It Safe Defense. Today we're talking about awareness. Now, awareness is a rather broad term, and I'd like to go around the room and ask each of our panelists what awareness means to them and what are some tangible behaviors that our viewers can adopt to raise their level of awareness in a campus situation. Shannon, I'd like to start with you. Can you tell us what awareness means to you and some thoughts about what our viewers can do?
Sure, thanks. I would start with what I like to call is the what if game. The what if game creates awareness of not only what could be happening around you, but what is happening within you. So being aware of what's outside of yourself and then what's within yourself, how your body's reacting, and paying attention to both of those things are vital to your safety. So example of a what if game. How many times have you heard a sound in the hallway, or you are walking to a restaurant or from the restaurant home and you hear footsteps, or you feel like someone's following you, or you think there's someone's around the corner, or you get onto the elevator and you just have this weird feeling? Well, your intuition is something that protects you 24/7. So if you feel like something's wrong, if something's off, it is. So do something different, change your behavior, meaning be aware of yourself and how you're feeling, and that creates awareness and safety. So that what if game is, what if there is someone following? Well, turn around and look. What if there's someone around the corner? Well, go across the street or into another area. So remove yourself. That self-awareness that I like to talk about is that intuitive nature that everyone possesses. Women especially have that little bit more of that sixth sense than men do. I like to say that, hype up my girls in my classes.
We can say a lot more. We're safe on that.
Anyway, so the self-awareness that I like to talk about is how far are you willing to go? I think you need to know that you are willing to defend yourself at all costs. When you train, when you walk around campus, when you need to go from point A to point B, of course, looking around and knowing your surroundings. But if something were to happen, what if someone did grab you, which will have great tips, techniques, and everything coming to you in the future on how to physically defend yourself, but mentally, how do you defend yourself? You're aware of your surroundings, but you're aware of that what if, and that mindset of, if it's between me and you, I'm the one going home. I'm the one walking home. I'm the one calling for safety. I'm the one calling for help. Don't make yourself an easy target. All of those things that are, they're very common sense. I think others are going to cover some of those aspects. But don't even hesitate to know that your intuition is all about your awareness. And I think that kind of covers my couple minutes on what's most important about awareness on campus, in an office, anywhere you are. If you feel like something's wrong, something is probably a little bit off, remove yourself from that situation and get yourself safe.
Cool. Thank you so much, Shannon. Appreciate it. Heather, can we go to you next?
Sure. Awareness is a skill. It's a skill that you have to build. I mean, we have that intuitive nature, like Shannon was talking about, which is essential, especially for women, I think. But you also need to start, you know, you got to find a way of being aware without being so upset or scared. You got to find that fine balance. As an example, when my daughter was young, we used to play games. When we'd walk into a restaurant, we'd sit down, then I'd say, who had a hat on the restaurant? How many people had, you know, and we use things like that. Where's the other exit? If you can find nice ways to find ways to be aware of what's going on around you that is not making you more nervous, more scared, because you can't go through life like that. That's not healthy. But if you can start paying attention to what's going on around you, like you were mentioning, is there somebody around the corner? Well, did you even notice there were corners there? Start being aware of those things and make it maybe a game. Find ways when you leave to look for people or pay attention to certain behaviors so that you can start doing that more. You know, I think police officers, Brad, correct me if I'm wrong on this, I think police officers do some specific training, don't they?
Well, it's on the job training all the time, and your KG veterans are telling you, what street are we on? What direction are we heading? And I can get into more things, but I like the way you're tracking on behavioral type of actions to look for rather than just the situation. So stacking on what Heather's talking about onto what Shannon was talking about, absolutely, we're going down the right track from my training.
So make it an enjoyable process where you are learning about what's going on around you and making it a practice that you do perhaps without thinking about it anymore. That's really would be my big take after what Shannon had to say.
Great, absolutely. I love those recall drills too. Those are just, they're a lot of fun too, really. Yeah, you can make such a fun game out of them. Tracy, what are your thoughts?
You know, for me, when I'm teaching my students, I always tell them that 90% of self-defense is awareness. So for those that are really worried about, oh my gosh, I'm going to get attacked, or this is a scary phase of my life I'm entering, like Heather said, building on that awareness and can really be, you know, your answer. That's 90% of your self-defense is awareness. So my whole thing is, how do you look aware? Because predators are looking for people who are alone, people who are distracted, people that might look weak. And so I always ask my students, what can you do to look aware? First thing you do, you come out of your dorm, or you come out of your car, stop, take a second and just kind of scan. Always scan where you're at. If I'm a predator and I see a student, a woman, a young man or a young woman doing this, I'm moving on to the next person. All right. Here's a true story. I had a student that told me she was waiting for her mom to pick her up from school, and she was texting her mom, you know, where the heck are you? And she noticed that there were some guys that were really making her feel creepy. And that's another point. Be aware of the way that people are making you feel, just like Shannon said. So all she did was she stepped back, she put her back against the wall as she's texting her mom. So now she only has to be aware of half of her surroundings. That simple thing that of just backing up, looking more aware, looking more prepared, caused those guys to move on, because she looked like she knew what was going on and she was aware that they were there. And then the last thing I really want to add from a college standpoint is, if 90% of the time we know this person, we have to be aware of how they're making us feel. Are they a little bit too controlling? Are they trying to make you do something that you don't feel comfortable doing? And that's where it gets into, you really need to rehearse responses before you even get to that party. So for instance, if somebody wants to ask you or is trying to force a drink on you, be prepared, have a response set to go. Practice role play with a parent or with your roommate or somebody, so that you're not only aware of that behavior, but you're also prepared. So I think awareness and preparedness are interconnected. And then of course, confidence, fake it to make it, is always your secret weapon.
Excellent. Great stuff. Thank you. Brad, what do you think?
Well, so Tracy's standpoint of talking about preparedness. Well, come on, you guys are talking about stuff. I don't want to be paranoid. And my answer to that is, look, if you constantly think about what you would do if someone was following you, or what would you do if you'd be attacked right now, that's preparedness. But if you're constantly thinking about what you would do if vampires attack you, then that's paranoia. Okay. So I think that we've around this table, we've talked about some things that are really important from a strategic standpoint. A lot of times you will have instructions saying, look at the environment around you. Well, it's not the environment. It's people. It's the behavior of people that you're interested in. Predators exhibit predatory type of behaviors. They stop when you stop. Here's the thing that's interesting. They may feign that they're not doing anything. Well, that makes, as everyone's pointed out, how does that make you feel? Because quite frankly, every location has an activity associated with it. If you're shopping, it's shopping. If you're at a campus rally, people are clapping and they're involved, or they're, every activity. If you're at a pool, people are swimming. You know what I'm saying? So when you're out and about, people that look like they're working too hard to be nonchalant, or look like they look away from you when you look at them, they move when you move, those are the tip-offs. You're looking for behavior. And then, as everybody said, humans are incredible. Humans are incredible. You know what's happening. Your body knows what's happening, and yet we all do this. Oh, I'm just being silly. Maybe Shannon told me maybe I should walk across the street before I get there, but I don't want to be silly. So I walk across the street and nothing happens. Does that mean it was silly, or does it mean I thwarted a possible attack? So somebody brought up, keep doing it until it's a habit. And I think that's what you run into, because at the first part, once you start to be aware of this, you start feeling hypervigilant. But then as you just practice it, you can calm down and not worry about anything. So people that are highly trained, they don't worry about what if they're attacked. They just worry about when they're attacked, because we know what to do if we're attacked. We've spent our whole professional lifetimes preparing for, I know exactly what to do if I'm attacked this way. I just now have to find out, when it is. So concentrate on the things you can control. Your abilities, your awareness. And I will also kind of put this out, and I don't know exactly how to articulate this, but Shannon said, well, women have a little bit more in intuition. I've never heard of the common expression called male intuition. It's female intuition. And if you dump your intuition and you flush it, you've just taken away one of your best weapons, because what else do you have now? Superior strength, speed, and aggression? No, that's the male territory. Your gift is the fact that you have intuition. Use it.
Great. Thank you, Brad. I appreciate it. Okay. So thank you all very much for taking a couple minutes and talking about it. I'd like to go ahead and just open it up for free discussion now. If anything that anybody else has said has made you think of something that you'd like to throw out there, now's the time. Who has any more thoughts on what they'd like to throw out there?
I think it's important that building on all the valuable information that was spoken today, is to use your voice if you feel like something's wrong. I'm fine being the crazy person that just yelled at someone. If I just yelled at someone, back off, or I don't know you, why are you looking at me? Like, I'm not going to do it aggressively, and we'll cover that in future videos, but using your voice is really important. So, and I do have a personal story, so I don't know if we'll have time for it, but I'll just put it in here.
Go ahead.
At the grocery store just a week ago, I noticed someone. Every time I was in an aisle, he was there. And I'm like, okay, you're not following the arrows, and the whole COVID everything, right? So, well, it wasn't just that, but I kept noticing him. So finally, we're like cart to cart again for about the 4th time. And so I used my voice, and I just very calmly, with my cart and his cart between us, right? Awareness of space there. I just said to him, is there something I can help you with? Just very calmly. And he said, well, I've been watching you. And I said, I'm aware. And he said, I wanted to ask you to go out with me. So I'm like, well, that's just okay. Anyway, and so I answer him, I diffuse the situation. I say, no, thank you. And I move on. Well, I notice that he continues to follow me. So what do? I remove myself from the situation. I'm done shopping. I don't need him following me anywhere. I'm going to avoid any more kind of confrontation, although I know what I wanted to do, but I am going to keep it calm, go to the front, check out, and tell the people that are there. So I told the checkout people, I asked for a manager. She came right over. I just told the checkout guy to call for a manager, however they do that in their secret code over the aisle 2. Anyway, just made them all aware that there was a man soliciting in the grocery store. So that was an awareness situation that I recently had. And
Cool. Heather.
You know, that you brought up a really good point. I think women don't always know that they can ask for that kind of help. You know, I used to work a lot in restaurants and some nightclub situations and things like that. And if you are getting ready to leave, you can ask for an escort to your car. And almost any restaurant would do that. And if they don't, maybe you need to go to a different restaurant. There's a lot of situations. Like you said, a grocery store, you could even ask them to have someone walk you to your car, help you with your groceries. Any of that stuff could really be helpful. But you do have to know there's something up.
Yep.
I'd like to just add, remember years ago, the Cal Poly student, and forgive me for not, I should have researched her name, but she went to a party, had way too much to drink, and the guy that walked her back to her dorm because she was falling down drunk ended up being the guy that raped and murdered her. So I think that it's really important for our college students, male and female, to know that, you know, alcohol is the #1 weapon that's used on people. If you find yourself in that situation, you need to be aware of how you're going to get yourself back to that dorm. And that means checking in with people, maybe having a safety app on your phone, having people watch you walk back, and walking in groups, not just trusting that one person that happens to be there that wants to help you. And then the last thing I'd like to add too is, because it's one of my pet peeves, is if you're jogging, remember the college student that was jogging out in the farmland somewhere, and she was raped and murdered in the cornfields. It was by a local worker. She had been jogging for a while with traffic, and this guy was following her. So it's really important, I think, as a self-defense instructor, to really get the word out there, to jog or walk against traffic, because you can be a lot more aware of what's coming at you versus what's following you.
Good one.
Well, I will add on this, because we're going to run into some discussion later on with kind of the social fracturing that's going on, especially leading up to the election, and some of the things that could be happening on campus. And so I've got this dichotomy. On one hand, stay away from crowds, but then on the other hand, stay with people. So I'm running in an area where there's other people around. As soon as I find myself out in a deserted park, I think I'm more vulnerable. So to Shannon's point about asking for help, sometimes it's not that people will help you, it's that the predator doesn't either want witnesses, he needs privacy for the attack. So it's a real strange dichotomy, and we can't always just put it in a perfect little package and say, here's exactly what you do every time. So back to everything that people said, use your intuition. You either want to stay with people or you want to go to people.
Absolutely.
You will hear this again, by the way.
Yeah.
No, I'll just mention one quick anecdote of mine, if I could. I live right next to a college campus, and I frequently see at night, young women walking alone. They've got their earbuds in and their face is buried in their phone. And that's just something we got to get people away from. Thank you all for your time. This is our second discussion on the subject of campus safety. If you haven't viewed our first video on the red zone, please hit the link in the description below. And please do check back frequently for updates on our website, womenselfdefensecommunity.com, and our social media. Links are in the description below. Have a great day, everyone. We'll see you next time.